Why did Putin get Burevestnik? How is Trump reacting? And what has Dmitriev accomplished in the US? These and other topics we will discuss right now. My name is Iryna Uzlova, and today with us is Michael Sheitelman, political strategist. Michael, hello, glad to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Iryna.
So we see that US President Donald Trump has dismissed reports of Russia testing its nuclear-powered cruise missile Burevestnik and criticized Vladimir Putin for boasting about new weapons, according to CNN. They know we have a nuclear submarine, the greatest in the world, right off their shore. So, I mean, it doesn't have to go 8,000 miles, and they're not playing games with us. We are not playing games with them either. We test missiles all the time, Trump said. But it seems to me that Putin plays games with the United States and whole Western world. And Michael, how can you assess this new old Putin's threats and Trump's reaction on it?
No, that is really new old, as you called, because all of these tests and trials, this new missile, Burevestnik, which is called Burevestnik, it is very, very old story, really. This is like fairy tale. Because first time we heard about this missile, it was about 10 years ago, something about a decade. And decade ago, Putin once appeared before the public with some movie, which was the produced movie, like animation movie, with this missile Burevestnik, and he told that the unique quality of this missile is that it could fly around the globe 6 times or something like that. Mm-hmm. And nobody understood, but what for? What for you need to fly 6 times around the globe if you are not the astronaut or taikonaut or somebody like Gagarin or somebody else?
Really?
So, till today, nobody understands what is this unique, what was the unique experience of this missile. Again, Putin said that this missile was in air about 15 hours. And the answer by President Trump was absolutely logical. But why we need 15 hours? We have submarines, and we have a couple of hours to strike Moscow, or less, couple of dozen of minutes to strike Moscow. So why you need this missile? That is not obvious. By the way, all the previous experiments, all the previous trials of this missile, about today's trial, we just don't know because nobody knows about that. But all the previous, they finished the total collapse of this missile, and it was collapse of the engine, which was also a nuclear engine. So it is not good for nature, etc., etc. But let it be. But not obvious what is the achievement of Russian engineers, what is the achievement comparing the previous missiles. And also Trump does not understand that. So obviously it was not engineering achievement, it was like a political demonstration that we have nuclear weapon, that's it.
But such way and steps of nuclear blackmail by Russian dictator Putin, what signals and to whom did he send? To Trump, to Ukraine, to Europe?
Yes, no, obviously it is not for Ukraine, it is for United States and maybe for Europe also, because also Europe started to react. If President Trump, who is the owner of the strongest country in the world and the first army in the world, his reaction was more ironic or sarcastic. So in Europe, there was the practical reaction. And I don't remember exactly who it was. It was somebody from the Ministry of Defense and some parliament members, I believe, of Great Britain. They reacted for these trials in Russia. And they said that probably we need to change the strategy, nuclear strategy, and to share British nuclear weapon with other countries, for example, with Germany. That German and United Kingdom, will together manage the nuclear weapon against Russian Federation. So they understood in Europe that this is the threat against Europe and not only against the United States. And the United States, they could afford themselves not to react so aggressively because they feel that they're the strong side here and not Russia. Russia does not have almost any fleet. Russian fleet, we could see in Black Sea that Ukraine without any fleet just went the Russian fleet. And also when we see some Russian military ships around Europe, let's say, they are also very old-fashioned and they are not in good shape. So comparing to American fleet, we could see that Russia just does not have any possibility to manage the global war. And United States, they could do that.
Such tone by Donald Trump, a dismissive tone toward Putin's, it shows confidence by United States, we see, or could it embolden the Kremlin for something? Or Putin understands that Trump realizes all this blackmail and will attack if Putin wants to use not only blackmail and words, but such missiles against Western world?
All this tone and all these methodics of President Trump, and this is the part of his politics towards Russia during the last couple of months. And the motto of this new politics is ignorance. They ignore Russia. And Trump ignore also threats, like in this case, for example, and Trump ignore any manipulations by Russia, any speeches in United Nations, for example. I just will bring one example from today, just from today. The deputy of foreign minister of Russian Federation, he said that it's a pity that we have no reaction from United States for our offer to renew the flights between the United States and Russian Federation. And this story about renew the flights between the air flights, it means citizen flights, from Russia and between Russia and United States. It is the story of about half a year ago. And half a year ago, Trump first time had the conversation by phone with Putin. So the result of his conversation was something like, okay, we are going to renew the flights. And there is no reaction, just no reaction from American side, because they understand that this is not serious. All of this is just tricks. All of this is just manipulation. So we will not give any reaction. We don't care about what you say now if you don't stop the war. That is the reaction, that is the idea, and that is the American answer for any Russian initiative from today. Also for threats and also for peace offers, anything, you stop war or you not stop war. If you stop war, we will discuss and we will have a dialogue. If you not stop war, we will ignore you.
Yes. But Putin doesn't want to stop war, and new visit of his special envoy Kirill Dmitriev shows it again and again. Kirill Dmitriev, the special representative of the illegitimate president of the aggressor country, Vladimir Putin, for investment and economic cooperation, stated on October 26 that during his multi-day visit to the US, he tried to show to US leaders of the absurd of pressuring Russia. He said that he was conveying to US authorities that a settlement of the conflict in Ukraine is only possible if its root causes are eradicated, while the Russian economy is supposedly in very good shape and sanctions certainly have no effect on it. What else will the propagandists say? US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent ridiculed Putin's special envoy for saying that sanctions have no effect on Russia and saying that it's really effective, but Kirill Dmitriev is only propagandist and no more. And even Institute for Study War reported yesterday that Kirill Dmitriev made a show in the United States like press tour press visit, and he told to CNN, to Fox News. So we saw his narratives, the same narratives like in Putin's tone about first courses and so on. So what main signals we see by this visit of Kirill Dmitriev to the United States? That Putin doesn't want to stop war, so why they were afraid of sanctions? What about this visit can you say?
No, it is difficult to see any signs by this visit itself. And Scott Bessent, as State Minister of United States, he is right. And he said it to the journalist during an interview with American journalist. Then she asked something about Kirill Dmitriev. He said, wow, just a second, he's just a Russian propagandist. You want to bring his speeches, his claims here in this interview. So you spread Russian propaganda. So if we just quote Kirill Dmitriev, we spread Russian propaganda, as the American minister said. So this is also very important. The one more ignorance of Russian messages. This is not the messages, and United States, we are not ready to play with the game. This is the game of Russian intelligence services, usually the messages. We sent the message by this missile trial, or we sent a message by sending you special envoy or something. This is not a message. You want to stop the war? You could stop the war. We don't understand any messages, and we don't want to play this game. So yeah, they tried to play this game, to play the game like, oh, let's discuss that not openly, but under the closed doors. And President Putin said it, by the way. He said it during one meeting with Belarusian President Lukashenko. He said that we are ready to negotiate a peace in Ukraine, but we are not ready to negotiate it openly. We are ready to negotiate it under the closed doors. But why? The current American policy is vice versa. The policy of Mr. Trump is everything on the table. All the cards should be on the table. And I will say openly everything. This is the policy of Mr. Trump. And by the way, before Trump became the president of United States, only one person in the world also not only declared but also managed this policy, and it was the president of Ukraine, Mr. Zelensky. After each meeting with each foreign president, for example, with Macron, he said to press exactly what happened during this meeting. For example, I remember when the very first days of our war, he said to the press that, Macron came to Ukraine and asked us to give some territories to Russian Federation. And from this moment, nobody in Europe, just nobody, asked from Mr. Zelensky or from Ukraine to give some territories to Russians, because everybody knew that it will be public. You can't do that under the table and with closed doors. Sorry, our negotiation is very open. So the same answer was towards this Mr. Kirill Dmitriev, the Russian special envoy. Nobody met him. If you paid an attention, nobody from administration agreed to meet this Kirill Dmitriev.
And even still Witkov, yes, it seems to me, because we have no information about that meeting, which was planned, but empty.
It was planned for Sunday, and it didn't happen. Believe me, if it were happen, so Kirill Dmitriev was reported that. He reports each of his pace on American soil, he reports in his social network. He met one congresswoman, just one out of hundreds, and she is the only American politician who agreed to meet with him. And he meets with some journalists, on Fox News and CNN. That's it. But also on CNN, it was not the hot meeting. It was the very tough interview with all the facts. And when journalist asked with Kirill Dmitriev about the Russian war criminals, about the bombing and striking Ukrainian cities, and Kirill Dmitriev said, no, we strike only military targets. So journalists said, no, That's a lie. That's a
Because the
lie.
journalist visited Ukraine and saw by himself all the consequences of Russian strikes against civilian people.
Exactly, and he broadcast during the interview with this special envoy of Russia. He just broadcast some video footprint from Kharkiv. The Russians they struck a kindergarten with three drones. Yeah, with three
Yes.
drones, and dozens of children were evacuated from this kindergarten. So nobody paid a lot of attention to this visit, and it was very very was very demonstrative by American administration not to meet with him, no any meeting, because Steven Witkoff, I am sure that Steven Witkoff wanted, if he had a possibility, he wanted to meet with Kirill Dmitriev, because Steven Witkoff has the common business with Kirill Dmitriev. He had it before the war also, and before he took the position of special envoy of President Trump. So he wanted to meet this guy. But obviously, it is direct instruction from from the, or from White House, or from Marco Rubio, not to meet with him. No signs, no any positive signs towards Russian. That's obvious, yeah.
Clear. But we know that Dmitriev brought gifts with him to the United States, chocolates with Putin's image and quotes, both gangster-like and with, St. Petersburg underworld, as well as all Russian threats, such as Russia's borders never end, Russia is not angry, but Russia is concentrating, and if it's a fight is inevitable, strike first. So, and it's all in Russian language, I don't know why, but are these threats to these quotes by Putin? Because they have a lot of dozens, thousands, hundreds quotes by Putin, different for these 25 years. He's illegitimate president of Russian Federation, but these phrases, and not in English, but in Russian language.
That is the best demonstration of the fact that Russians, they just don't know how Russia looks from outside. They believe that if inside Russia the Nazism and neo-fascism is the normal, yeah. And for example, these candies, I believe they sell it in supermarkets in Russian Federation, and Russian citizens, they support Mr. Putin. Most of Russian citizens, they really support Mr. Putin, and they like these quotes of Mr. Putin, and they buy these candies. But in the West, these quotes looks like barbaric quotes. Mm-hmm. That is just one more fact that Russia is barbaric terroristic states. And they said about themselves, "Wow, look our candies. We are barbaric and terrorists." That is the example. But why they bring that? Why they do that? Because in their heads, I mean, the Cyril Dmitriev and his office, they are sure that part of American policymakers, they like Russia. They really like Putin. And this is big mistake. The difference between political wings in Washington and in the United States is not between we like Putin and we don't like Putin. It is between how to behave in this situation. Obviously that Putin is war criminal. It is obvious for everybody in the United States. I mean in the political scene. For everybody. Part of the politicians, they say we should destroy Russia. And part of them say we can't destroy Russia now and directly. Let's do that by, let's say, another way, economic way and not the military way. This is the just only question. How to destroy Russia and not to destroy. Or let's have a business with Russian Federation. Nobody in America now, I mean, okay, maybe some 1, 2, 3%, they think about that, yeah, but 93, 95, 97% of American politicians, they are persuaded that there couldn't be any business with Russian Federation during the during the Mr. Putin period, during the Mr. Putin authority. And they just wait, then the Putin's rule in Russian Federation will be ended, will be finished. That's it.
Yes. Rude barbarians, and that's all. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said that Russian dictator Vladimir Putin is allegedly ready to agree with the concept proposed by the United States to settle the war against Ukraine. He emphasized that Putin is ready to move further in practical terms on the proposed basis on Alaska. However, according to the head of the Russian Foreign Ministry, there was no direct response from the US to this proposal. He added that parties had agreed to take a break to reflect on the proposals. But does Lavrov mean ceasefire on the current front line, or what?
Yeah. Really, I saw this news that you now quoted, but afterwards there was something like amendment from Mr. Lavrov or from his office that he did not mean the offer which was made by President Trump. Oh, really? He said that I meant not the offer by President Trump about the ceasefire. I meant the offer by Steven Witkoff. So they are ready
Yes.
to Steven Witkoff offer and not to President Trump offer. But he did not say what the offer of Mr. Witkoff was. We could just make a conspiracy around that. And there is a lot of conspiracy that Mr. Witkoff agreed to give some Ukrainian territories to Russians. But Mr. Witkoff, the only person in the world who agreed for that. Not Ukrainian government, not European governments, and not White House, and not State Secretary agreed to that. And this is the reason why Steven Witkoff looked like a little bit removed from this peace process and from this negotiation, as you see. And this is the reason why in his, let's say, historical post in social networks, President Trump, after the last conversation with Putin, he said that head of our delegation will be Marco Rubio, not Witkoff. And the head will be Marco Rubio. And he didn't said just nothing about the delegation, what is the proxies, and what is the topic of negotiation, but he only said that Marco Rubio will be the head of delegation and not Steven Witkoff. It is very important. So Steven Witkoff looks like, somebody who is very close to Russian authorities and not to Americans. And nobody knows whom he represents, Russians in Washington or Americans in Moscow. It looks like he represents Russians in Washington and not Americans in Moscow.
Michael, we have 2 minutes. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky said in an interview with Axios that Russian leader Vladimir Putin was unlikely to accept the peace plan proposed by the coalition of the willing, but ceasefire plan to be ready in 7-10 days. For whom these ceasefire plans? To show our position that we agree, that we're confident to stop war, that we want to stop war, but Putin no.
It's difficult to say, but then you sit in this meeting in London. Let's imagine that we are the guests and participants of this meeting in London.
Okay.
Last Friday, yeah. And in this meeting, also before the meeting, the King of United Kingdom took the part in this, not formally in this meeting, but he had a separate meeting with Zelensky. And somebody, I believe, one of I don't know who, says, let's do also the peace offer because we prepared to the war and we discussed how we will strike Russian Federation with Western weapon. And they spoke about that, yes, about the missiles, about the targets inside Russian territory. So we will also bring the alternative to Russians. You see, yeah, we will strike you oil refineries and other your infrastructure objects and your military production targets, like in Kapeysk, the dozens of Russian workers were killed during this attack. and by the way, we were legitimate military target, yeah. But we also should offer the good offer, yeah? The good offer, the peace offer. Let's prepare that. And somebody else says, but Putin is not agree. Yeah, we know that he is not agree, but we should bring that. We are civilization, they are barbaric. So we should bring the peace offer on the table and to put it on the table. And this is the business of Mr. Putin, to refuse that, and to be barbaric. And our civilization role is to bring peace plan.
No questions now. Thank you for all your response, for your opinion, for your clever thoughts. See you next week, Michael. Take care, please.
Thank you. Bye.
Michael Sheitelman, political strategist. My name is Iryna Uzlova. Guys, thank you for joining us, for watching us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, War and Politics 24, for my YouTube channel, Uzlova Talks, and to Michael Sheitelman. You can see a link under this video. See you later. Take care.